The college football playoff rankings are out. And just right off the jump, Jake, your thought, good rankings this week? Do you agree? Do you disagree?
I mean, definitely a little surprised that Colorado didn't move up a little more. I think that, it was a good win on the road. Felt like they played pretty well. Obviously, there was drama with the ball boy and the fans and everything. But, I thought that was a good win for Colorado in Big 12 play. Thought you would have been a little bit higher than you are. Appreciated the love that BYU got in the coaches poll. I think that's a proper ranking for BYU. Still undefeated. No, I don't care if you think it was holding or not. You won the ball game. It is what it is. You're undefeated. And overall, I feel like, as far as, in the bigger picture, there are some questions. I think that, it seems that Bama's getting hated on. Not really sure how Cam Ward, fumbles the ball like that, loses to Georgia Tech, and you're still in front of an SEC team. Don't really understand how that works. But, I generally speaking, I think they got it mostly right, but a couple of small question marks like that.
I am a little surprised that the Big 12 feels as far away from two teams as they have ever felt, as does the ACC. And I think when you start looking at these numbers, here are the rankings for the week. When you start looking at these rankings and the possibilities in your head, how many Big 12 teams get in? I think doing the math, the only way that two Big 12 teams get in is if Colorado wins the Big 12 championship game. Because I think that as close as K-State and Colorado are, I don't think public sentiment favors K-State, especially losing the way that K-State lost that second one. I think Colorado is immensely popular. And I think if Colorado wins the Big 12 championship over an undefeated BYU team, they get in. I think that's as plain as I can put it. I think that is the only way that the Big 12 gets two in, because you look at the Hill, obviously BYU getting love at number 6. They're number 7 in the AP poll. And again, these two are pretty close, right? But you look at BYU at 6 in the college football playoff, 7th in the AP poll. I don't see any other way. How do you get another Big 12 team in there?
Yeah, I don't
know.
The
road is like, I feel like it's a steep hill to climb.
It's going to be tough. I think, again, like it's a situation where I just don't think that there's another team in the Big 12 right now who has a great shot at it. I mean, we would need something to, like, you would need BYU to lose their last 3. You would need like some shocking development to happen for that conversation to come to the forefront. And I think that, I just don't see a way that 2 is, 2 has any possibility other than what you said. I mean, Colorado is going to have to get to the Big 12 championship game and beat BYU and do something nobody expects them to do to get the auto bid into the playoff, obviously, by winning the conference. And then I think, to your point, at the BYU would still get in. I mean, you're obviously 6th in the country in the coaches poll. Like, if you lose to Colorado in the Big 12 championship game and you're a 1-loss team at that point, you're still getting into the college football playoff. You're just not going to have the bye from winning your conference. So to me, I think that the Big 12 really needs that scenario to play out. Like, an undefeated season for BYU would be great for BYU fan, but as a conference, you need as many teams as possible. So if you're a Big 12 fan, I think now you're all, pushing the Colorado program forward. You want to see them win. You want to see them, fully, embrace the underdog, mentality right now.
Yeah, and I think that what is really plaguing this league is the Iowa State K-State matchup. That's going to end the year. Obviously, that is a huge game for both of those clubs. I think that, unfortunately, one of those two teams will be eliminated. And I think that and I would believe at this point that K-State has the advantage in that matchup. K-State's going to need help to get into the college football playoff or even into the championship game, because I think if BYU doesn't run the table, we're having a different discussion. If BYU doesn't go undefeated, I think there's very little chance that the college football playoff adds 2 Big 12 teams. And I think it is a really, really damning indictment on the Big 12 that you just don't have depth in this league. I think it is one of those things where the state of Texas, again, has to step up for this to be a powerhouse league at any time in the future. And I'm not even sure that's possible with the way that gerrymandering, rigging of the system by the SEC and the Big Ten has happened. I don't know that it's ever possible for the Big 12 to be a power league and get multiple teams into the college football playoff every single year. But I know this, if the state of Texas does not step up, the Big 12 is going to continue to be a mediocre football conference. As dominant as this league is in basketball, it is going to be a mediocre conference in football, because without the Techs, the Houstons, the TCUs of the world, the Baylors of the world, you're just not going to be able to have multiple teams in the top 10. I just don't see that as an option. And you look at how little room for error there is between winning games and losing games in this league. You look at the plights of the Oak States and the Utahs this year. You look at the plights of how those teams are losing to clubs like Houston. The line between win and loss in the Big 12, I don't think has ever been thinner. I think that Houston is showing you. I think that Colorado, under Deion Sanders, building a program that is now one of the best programs in this conference, and that is not in disputes anymore. I think that is very damning to the teams that have been in this league for a long time, Jake, that I feel like now have let this league down in the first year of an expanded college football playoff, because I think it is going to be very difficult unless Colorado runs the table and gets into the championship game with an undefeated BYU. I don't see any other path for 2 teams to get in.
Yeah, and I think that conversation around these classic Big 12 teams letting the conference down is one that's come to the forefront, because now there's actually pressure on them to do something other than nothing. And again, like I'm sure K-State fan and Kansas fan and Tech fan and whatever fan, Baylor fan, probably don't want to hear that. You probably don't want to hear Oklahoma State fan that this, like, you had to have a year this year. And the 1 year that the conference needed, K-State or Oklahoma State, or it'd be nice if it was coming from Tech, to do anything, they did absolutely nothing. And I understand that Joey's had a good bounce back here. And, they've obviously, you lost to Colorado, but that was a hard fought game. Like, you guys grinded in that game. It just is, it's frustrating as a Big 12 observer, because you feel like, man, like if these programs would just be decent, just be a 7-win team, this conference would be so much better than it is right now. And I have people yesterday on this show saying that the Big Ten's having a disappointing year, and this and that about other conferences. The Big 12 is the most disappointing conference in college football right now, in my opinion. Like the ACC, I don't expect it. See, here's the difference. I don't expect the ACC to be good in football. Nobody is like, yeah, wow, the ACC, man, football powerhouse conference. And nobody's saying that. They're a basketball conference, and they're lucky to get 2 teams that are relevant every year in Clemson and Florida State. And this year, they just happen to have SMU and Miami cooking.
SMU.
So, like, the ACC is even overachieving this year. So that's why I'm saying, like, I disagree. I think the Big 12 is right now, the most disappointing conference in the country, because you don't have K-State.
Really?
You don't have Tech. You don't have
Oak State and Utah.
Yeah,
those are 2 of the most disappointing teams in the country.
And I know that sounds harsh, and I'm not trying to be mean about it, but when you take an honest look at the Power 4 conferences, how do you come to any other conclusion? How do you get to a place where you say, oh, it's okay, K-State and Utah and Oak State, it's fine, dude. Oh, you just had 1 bad year. It's not an issue that you have nobody behind Cam Rising. It's not an issue that Brant Keithy's been basically your most reliable receiver for 3 years, and injuries have just riddled the program. That's not a problem. No
and
worries,
that now Brant
dude.
Keithy's out for the year, and his career at Utah is over with Cam Rising.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any question Utah is one of the most disappointing programs in the country.
Yeah,
I think Oak State's one. I think Joey McGuire losing, disappointing. West Virginia, I thought West Virginia would be solid. And I know we joke about Neil Brown needs fired on this show, but I really hope that when we go through this process with the college football playoff, and maybe I'm being melodramatic, I don't know, you guys will certainly call me on that, but I hope that we see significant head coaching turnover in this league. I really hope that we see guys I would fire in this league. I'd fire Dave Aranda yesterday. He would be gone. Neil Brown would be gone. I think there is no doubt in my mind you have to put homeboy Mullet in Stillwater on the clock next year. If you do not win, I would say if you don't win 8 games, you're out. We got to make a change, right? I would put these clubs on notice, and I hope that we see 4 or 5 head coaching changes in this league, because I just think it's not good enough anymore. And if you really want to be a competitive league, you cannot have just your conference champion in the college football playoff.
100%.
Not good enough. And I think that as much respect as I have for what Neil Brown has persevered through, you got to make a change in Morgantown. And I think that, I don't know, maybe I overvalue West Virginia football. I grew up on West Virginia Pitt, that rivalry, Dan Marino. Like, I've always looked at West Virginia as a university. Look how many quality quarterbacks have come through West Virginia. Look how many quality football players have come through there. How are you this mediocre for this amount of time? Well, you can only point to, you're not going to say fire the president, fire the athletic director. You got to make a change with the head coach. I say the same thing with Dave Aranda at Baylor. That's a school that's well-heeled, has the resources. Make a change. How? I understand you made a change and I should tread lightly because there's so many Joey McGuire supporters. I understand he's not been there 10 years, but do you really feel like Texas Tech football is headed in the right direction? No. And I would put Joey McGuire on the clock. Next year, I'm a guy that believes 6 wins is not special.
No.
6 wins, being a 500 football team.
Going to a bowl is not what it used to be.
Yeah, if you're in the college football playoff, you had a good year.
Yeah.
Win, lose, glizzy, whatever.
Yeah.
Glizzy.
Glizzy, yeah.
Speaking of Rory McIlroy.
Yeah.
Talk about that story. I look at the college football playoff as the minimum bar. And you probably, to get into the college football playoff, what, guys? We probably have to win 10 games to get into the college football playoff or have a shot at it.
Yeah,
in a power conference.
I think the bar is different in each power conference. I think in the Big 12 you got to be a 1-loss team, and you have to have strength of schedule. So like that's the only reason BYU's in this conversation, because they have strength of schedule. And obviously they haven't lost yet, and so they're on that trajectory to get into the playoff. But if you look at like the SEC, a 2-loss SEC team has the same access as a 1-loss or an undefeated Big 12 team or ACC team.
No, the real truth is a 2-loss SEC team is getting in over a 1-loss BYU team. That's the harsh reality of it. And if that 1-loss BYU team goes to the conference championship and loses, they're not getting into the college football playoff. If a 1-loss SEC team or even a 2-loss SEC team, it's just the bar is not level.
Mm-hmm. And
it's because this Tony Petitti, Greg Sankey, cauldron of death that they use for an agreement, these sacrifices to the football gods that they've made. I think the playing field is not level.
Well, I mean, let's be honest about how we got here. I mean, the SEC's had several Hall of Fame caliber football coaches in its conference for over a decade, right? I mean, you had Nick Saban, you have Kirby Smart, and obviously over the years there have been loads of elite head coaches, and part of that is that before portal and NIL was even a thing, we were talking about Nick Saban being one of the most prolific, college football recruiters that we'd ever seen. And so all of those different dynamics for a great head coach like that have allowed the SEC to win more than any other conference. And because of that, they have the control.
That's right.
And so I don't think it's like I think the SEC is here because they earned this position. They've beat you. They are better than you. They've run their program. They've spent more money. They've recruited better. Like, they've done all these things at a higher level.
That's right.
Than the ACC and the Big 12. And again, the title of the show today is, did the Big 12 get screwed by the college football playoff rankings? And I do think there's some slight towards Colorado and K-State. I think they didn't probably get, Colorado certainly didn't get the love I think they deserve. But the reality of the situation is nobody is sitting here saying, well, man, gosh, like that's a bigger win than Bama beating LSU.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying that. And that's why I say like we get, like I had someone last week, I think it might have been Kim Coulter, one of the Tech fans that listen to the show all the time, was like, you're dumb. You don't know what you're talking about with Joey. Like maybe before you run your mouth, you shouldn't, you should
do some research,
homework.
guys.
And it's like, dude, what more research do I need to do other than what I see on the field on a week in and week out basis, which is you're not good enough. Iowa State it's an embarrassing that you lost to Texas Tech at your place and ended your season. That's not good enough, dude. Like
how is Texas Tech with one of the top two? I really value Baron Morton. I think we've talked about this on the show. Top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the league. I think Shador's one. I probably would take Jake Retzloff too. And then I think very close is Baron Morton. There's not a whole lot of other dudes I'd take over Baron Morton in this league.
Mm-hmm.
You have the best running back in the league. And you're not even in a conversation for the college football playoff because your defense and your coaching has been that bad. And yet we're the jackwagons for wanting to talk about, hey, need to raise the bar in Lubbock.
Yeah.
Right. And I think whether it's Morgantown, Lubbock, Texas, Waco, Texas,
Fort
Worth, right? You think Sonny Dykes isn't feeling some pressure in Fort Worth? Come on. Of course he is, as he should be. The problem is when you get somebody like Mike Gundy in Stillwater, Mike Gundy's not going to feel pressure. Mike Gundy's going to do what he's always done. Show up for work. We'll build a mediocre ass football team, and I'll keep collecting my paycheck.
And then we'll put out clips talking about how he's got to tell agents to stop, tell kids to stop having their agents call him. And, we got to fix a Pepsi cooler. And it's just, I think for me, I'm a little like, obviously we're deep into the college football season. We're getting into the all right, who's going to go to the college football playoff?
Yeah.
Who's that guy? And it makes me now, because of where the college football playoff format is at, it makes me now say, man, like, dude, like I am a little burned out on the Gundy antics. I am a little tired of having to talk about like
Joey chomping on his gum and pressing
like,
his molars together.
Yeah, like I am tired of those classic like Big 12 head coach antics. What I'd like to be talking about is, hey, yeah, you know what? Joey did actually get over the hump. Like Joey is in the Big 12 championship game. Mike Gundy did, actually recruit and embrace the portal and realize that, Alan Bowman wasn't ever going to be good enough as his starting quarterback. Like we did have these revelations, and the Big 12 is moving in the right direction. And it's this Baylor letter last week. Like this conference right now is in a place where I don't think that, like, they want to be more respected in the national picture, but they're not doing any of the things. That. Yeah, they're not doing any of the things you need to do.
And I agree with you. The Baylor letter,
yeah,
with this, we're going to have a summit. Is it a summit if nobody shows up when the Big 12 says, hey, we should all get together? It's not a summit.
And why didn't they show up? Because they don't feel the need to show up for you. Like the Big 10 and the SEC don't feel the need. That's the issue.
Because they don't have to.
Yeah.
Anyway, all of this to say, my biggest question, and I wonder what you guys think. Do you believe,
yeah, seriously,
that Colorado can make the college football playoff?
Do you believe?
I think at 7-2 and 5-1 in the conference, they have to run the table. This Saturday morning, they're playing at 10 a.m. at Folsom Field. 10 a.m. kickoff. You have to beat Utah, at Kansas, and Oak State. 2 of those 3 are at home. There is very little wiggle room here. And if Colorado's defense can make enough plays against Kansas, I think they go undefeated. Because I think that secondary is opportunistic. I think they will have multiple interceptions against Oak State.
What about Utah?
I think that the biggest question is, can Shador hold up and not get beat to hell against Utah's defensive front? Because I thought that was a lovely defensive performance against BYU.
Yeah.
And I thought that was Utah's best performance of the year on defense. And, if they hadn't been stolen from Utah and they hadn't gotten, the McElroy Glizzy treatment, they would have won the game. The Roy McElroy story is going to blow your mind. Anyway, my point is, don't say it. I do not say it. Anyway, the point is that I think Utah is very capable of beating Colorado, but I have my reservations if they can do that at home.
Mm-hmm.
If you're there, that game's in at Folsom, you're not beating Colorado and Boulder right now. If you're Utah, you don't have the firepower to do that. And I love Brandon Rose, and I love the heart of that defense. I think the offensive line has gotten much better.
Well, and that's speed in the wide receiver room for Colorado.
They're going to have to make Shedeur Sanders throw multiple interceptions if they're going to win that game, and I just don't see that happening. So yeah, I think that Colorado has a legitimate chance to go to the college football playoff. They control their own destiny now, and with being a one-loss team, and that loss obviously is to K-State. I think you're absolutely in control of your own destiny.
One loss in conference play.
And I think that one loss in conference play. And I think when you look at the issues that continue at quarterback, and you start to understand, because I haven't seen an update on Brandon Rose yet, but we'll see. And Brandon Rose is done for the year. So Rose is out for the year. We'll see how this offense bounces back. I think they're a more explosive offense with Isaac Wilson. The problem is Monty Parks is out for Utah's offense is just decimated by injuries. I don't even know how you Cam Rising, Monty Parks, Micah Pittman, Brant Keithy, Brandon Rose are all out for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got 3 games left. Good luck. Good luck. Which is just brutal.
Yeah, I think, one of the obvious takeaways with, when we're talking about Colorado trying to go undefeated at the end of the year here, this Utah situation is just, it's terrible. I mean, I understand that, maybe they got to improve their depth a little bit, but I don't think any football team who lost their number 1 option at quarterback, number 1 option at tight end, their number 2 option at wide receiver, Money Parks, your number 2 quarterback, I don't know. It's just one of those years, man. And that's not an excuse. You're still a disappointing team this year. But it's hard to see Utah, not taking that next step forward in the Big 12 at some point. I mean, the conference needs Utah, Oklahoma State, and ideally K-State every single year to be competing at the top. And then, again, love what BYU's doing this year, but you're going to have to now prove that you do that every year, right? We're going to have to see that there's that.
Who are you,
set.
TCU?
Yeah, right. So we need to see that every year out of BYU to kind of throw them in that conversation. But I don't know, man. I just want the Big 12 to have a year where you've got 5 teams that are legitimate. Hey, this team is good enough.
See, and I just don't think that the powers that be in the Big 12 want to do what needs to be done to win. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Which sucks.
Winning football games is not the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
That to me is tough. And I think when you have a 12-team playoff, I don't see any way the ACC and the Big 12 get 2 teams in. I don't, because again, excuse me, even with Coach Prime, the only way that Colorado gets in and the Big 12 gets 2 is if Prime runs the table and wins a Big 12 championship game. And I've already told you I hate the matchup for BYU if they go against Colorado. Colorado and BYU both have to win all their remaining games. Colorado's got to win the Big 12 championship. They get 2 in. That is the only math that I have found that puts them in, because you look at this right here, this is called an incredibly steep slope to climb. And yeah. I think when you start looking at the SEC, I think you're getting Texas in. I think Tennessee's going to get in. Alabama and Ole Miss. Here's the question. Here's the deal. Who winds up going to the SEC championship game? I think that's a huge question. And right now, if it ended today, it'd be the Vols and Texas A&M. Are you telling me if it ended today that Alabama and Ole Miss wouldn't get in if they'd get in, right? But then you start doing some math, and you look at the fact that, Texas A&M's got Texas. Interesting question. I was talking to a buddy of mine who's a USC booster, and he said, is Texas real or not real? And I said with Quinn Ewers, I don't think they're nearly as good as they are with Arch Manning. Because I look at it like I look at Isaac Wilson and Utah. I think Isaac Wilson's the more explosive player, but he makes too many mistakes, right? Their offense is more explosive with him at quarterback, but they make too many mistakes, and the play calling got too conservative because of all those mistakes. I look at Texas, Quinn Ewers sometimes. Do you guys ever, when you're watching Quinn Ewers play, you're like, dude, did they forget to put his brain in his skull today? Because he just doesn't appear to be there sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at Arch Manning and I say, that's a cat that, he's young. Is he going to make mistakes? Probably. But that cat throws the ball down the field on a rope.
Yeah, I mean, I think the hard part with that dynamic is, obviously Arch didn't have a great showing against Georgia, but I don't feel like he got a lot of chances.
I don't think he was bad.
Yeah,
that run was phenomenal.
Yeah, the thing is what I'm saying is that he didn't. It's not like he got 20 plays. Like he got one drive or whatever, which wasn't really even a drive. And so if a USC booster is asking, is Texas real? Yeah, Texas is real, man. What are they, one-loss team right now? Right? Like they've only lost to Georgia, I believe it is. And, what
do we get this weekend? Tennessee, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
At Georgia. I think Tennessee can win that game. I think Tennessee's defense is the only 10 I see.
See what he did there? It's like Tennessee 10 I see. Right.
Your mom's the only Tennessee I see.
Right.
Okay. I think Tennessee can win that game. And when you start looking at numbers and you start looking at the fact that Georgia's a 10-point home favorite, if you're not betting the only 10 I see in that game, you're out your goddamn mind, because I think Tennessee can win that game. And if Tennessee wins that game, here, let's go back to it. Does Georgia make the college football playoff if Tennessee wins that game?
Nope.
If you're a Boise fan, who are you rooting for? I think you're rooting for Tennessee to win that game.
Yeah.
If you're an SMU fan, right? Like I think there's a lot of ground to be covered here. And I think one other thing real quick. Did you guys hear Deion Sanders yesterday? And I know that you guys hate Deion Sanders simply because, well, he's Deion Sanders. But again, I've espoused the greatness, the glizziness, if you will, Rory, of Deion Sanders. My question is, if there's any coach in the country you could have, don't you want him saying this?
Say we get 25 high school players. How many is going to play that freshman year at the most? Let's say 4 or 5, right? And so now you got 20 guys redshirted. So when you go through that spring with that 20 guys redshirted, how many are you going to retain after that spring? Or how many are going to jump in the portal on you? Let's just do it. If any one of you going to go statistically and try to calculate this, I already done it. So it's going to be how many? Half. Okay, why don't I just focus on 10? Guys that can, see, when we grab a freshman, we expect that guy to play. We're not looking at, hey, man, we can just redshirt you, develop you. No. We're looking for you to come in and play some football. I don't give a darn if it's a walk-on, if it's a Cash Cleveland. We expect you to play. So our approach is somewhat different, heavily scrutinized, heavily criticized, but we know what we're doing. So if anybody ever did the homework and the statistics of these young men, that people have a class that they say is the number 1 class in the nation, then 5 of those guys play or 4 of those guys play, then the rest go through the spring, then they jump in the portal. Give me those numbers.
I mean, I think that's facts, bro. Like, he's not wrong.
Notre Dame, make the call.
Yeah. I mean, he is not wrong, dude.
Give me some blender sunglasses.
I mean, he goes on there to say later in the press conference, like, hey, if you look at the NFL draft, and he asked the media, hey, who do you think won the NFL draft this past draft? And nobody had an answer. And he's like, yeah, you don't have an answer because nobody cares who won the draft. It's all about what players are on the field actually doing something for you. And I thought that to me shows you that Deion understands the portal and NIL and understands that people are going to hate, but that they're doing it a proper way, and they're winning through that. And I think that, again, you don't have to like Deion, but
No.
you got to appreciate the fact that he understands the system and understands how to go about, getting enough talent in the program.
And I just, again, will ask you, I'm a Notre Dame fan. I'd have fired Marcus Freeman before I ever hired him. I would have never hired him. If you said to me today, you can have Deion Sanders or Marcus Freeman. Marcus, let me pack your shit because you're out.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I won't break anything. And a lot of newspaper rapping going to happen.
Pack this thing up. We're out of here.
You're out. I wouldn't even hesitate. Hey, you can have Matt Ebersucks or Deion Sanders coach the Bears. Let me shave your beard, Matt, because you're done.
Cold-blooded, clean, methodical, and thorough.
Like, there's not a whole lot of coaches. And again, I look across this country. And
Deion or Brian Kelly?
Huh?
Deion or Brian Kelly?
Prime all day.
All
Brian
day.
Kelly doesn't win big games.
All day.
And I will tell you, of the coaches we've talked about, Neil Brown or Deion, come on.
Yeah. Joey.
Or Deion. I take Deion. Stoolwater Mullet or Deion. Like, there's not a whole lot of coaches you're taking over him. Kirby Smart or Deion? Kirby Smart.
Ryan Day. See, now that's a tough one.
I'm probably taking Deion.
Now, Ohio State fans say, oh, you're out of your mind, Monty.
I don't like Ryan Day. I'm not. I don't want Ryan. Okay. This is going to go off the reservation, so just buckle up. What I'm telling you is, I only care if you make the college football playoff. Okay, if you're BYU, the expectation's lower. Kalani or Deion. At BYU, I'm taking Kalani. The problem is, I'm a guy who believes Notre Dame should play for a national championship every year. That's who we are. Marcus Freeman ain't that dude. I'm a guy that believes the Texas Longhorns. Is Sark that guy? I don't know. Can you imagine Deion Sanders with the horns on the side of his helmet? Come on, man. They're never losing a game. And the problem is, I don't believe that the garden variety West Virginia fan, does West Virginia fan believe that the Mountaineers should play for a national championship every year?
Do you believe?
No, probably
Should
not.
They? I mean,
Will
they? No.
Do you believe, as a USC fan, that you should play for a national championship every year?
Yes.
You do.
Yes.
Which is why you're trying to fire Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I called this dude that I am just a casual friend. We're not like close friends. We used to work together. I call him yesterday, and he's a USC guy. Call him yesterday, and does he say, hey, Monty, or hello? How did he answer the phone?
Hold on. Let me take a guess before you reveal it. Hey, this is Monty. Yeah, we're firing his ass.
No. He's like, you better be calling me to say ding dong, the witch is dead.
Was it the violations?
Those violations are meaningless, by the way. The USC got a $50,000 fine and a year of probation because Lincoln had too many analysts. His analysts were on the field coaching players. So they had too many coaches on the field during spring practice. Okay. My point is, how many programs in this country, even in the Big 12, how many programs in the Big 12 think they should play for a national championship every year?
Program.
Baylor?
No.
Texas Tech?
No.
Houston?
No.
BYU?
No.
Utah?
Yes.
Oak State?
No.
Like Kansas? K-State?
No.
How many programs in the SEC think they should play for a national championship every year. Tennessee, yeah, they do. Ole Miss with Lane Train, yeah, they do. Like at the
Bama,
bottom of
Georgia.
that goes without question.
But I'm just sitting here thinking, like in the SEC, you've got Bama, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee,
The only 10
Ole
I
Miss,
see. LSU,
LSU,
Missouri,
Missouri.
they think so, right?
A lot of times Florida.
Florida. What about our friends in Norman? What is this, softball?
Yeah.
Oklahoma football fan thinks so. Auburn football fan thinks so. Kentucky football, probably not. Mississippi State football, probably not.
No. A&M.
But Texas A&M, why'd you go and hire Trev Alberts?
Yeah.
Why are you paying Jimbo to sit home and eat his boogers?
Right?
Yeah, like you think you should be. That's the difference.
Yeah.
And if I look in the Big Ten, you want to know who in the Big Ten doesn't? Yeah, about 16 of the 18.
Yeah.
The Big Ten, and I know yesterday, maybe this is a good litmus test. How many of those very average ass football teams think they should be playing for a national championship every year? Oregon, yes. Oh, Indiana, no. Ohio State, yes. The Fighting Sandusky Pedos,
Yes.
yes. Iowa, no. Minnesota, Illinois, UCLA, Rutgers, Michigan State, Northwestern, Maryland, Purdue. None of those guys think they should.
Sign Steeler guy.
No. Central Michigan, absolutely not.
Did you guys see really quick? Did you guys see the NCAA's finally gotten to the Central Michigan portion of the Michigan cheating scandal? They're now digging into that.
Central Michigan's in trouble, in my opinion.
Anyway, please continue.
USC,
Yes.
Nebraska,
I actually would say yes,
Yes.
right now. Yes. Yes.
Michigan,
I do. Yes.
Wisconsin. You don't go hire Luke Fickell if you think you're not going to compete for a national championship.
But I feel like they haven't done much since they hired him.
They
Like,
haven't,
you
because
haven't
Barry
really heard-
Alvarez is still fat. Prick. There are few. Barry Alvarez is a really good human. I hate that guy. I've always hated. Camp Randall Stadium, where people go to die and get crushed.
Yeah, next question.
I hate that stadium. I hate that team. I hate those fans, and I hate Barry Alvarez, the football coach, not the human being. He's a good dude.
Right.
Anyway, childhood trauma. Illinois, no. But Oregon, Penn State, Michigan, USC, yes. Most of that league doesn't think they have a chance to compete for a national championship,
Because they don't.
right? So that don't even get me into the ACC, because how many teams in the already crowned Clemson League think that they should be competing for a national championship every year?
Yeah, I mean, it's like 3.
SMU,
No.
Clemson,
Yes.
Miami,
Yes.
Louisville,
No.
Pitt,
No.
Georgia Tech,
Nope.
the Cuse,
Nope.
Duke,
Nope.
Virginia
Are we
Tech,
talking
Boston
basketball
College,
or what are we talking about here?
North Carolina, Wake Forest, NC State, Cal, Stanford, and, Florida State. And once Deion gets to Florida, the conversation changes. Florida
it's
State,
happening,
with
bro.
Deion, because
Do you believe?
I love all the guys in the comments section from Colorado yesterday. You're an asshole. One guy, you're an asshole. Okay. Hey, listen.
Thank you for your honest take, dude. That was really, the depth in that take is just incredible.
Anyway.
All right. What
All
are
I'm
the people
saying- Yeah, you're exactly right, Tanner. I hate Wisconsin. I hate everything about Wisconsin. I hope you burn the roof of your mouth on a cheese curd. Anyway,
Okay. All right.
I'm more than slightly bitter. And we haven't even talked about Prize Picks last night. If you don't learn my lesson, let me show you. Okay? Because I did something that you should never, ever do on Prize Picks.
I feel like we're getting to this every day now, where you do something you shouldn't do just to test the water.
You should, when you call a guy out as like a fraud and he's way overpaid and he's not the best player in the NBA, yet he's paid like the best player in the NBA. He's soft like soft serve ice cream. That's who Jason Tatum is. So you would never, unless you're Marty. I picked Jason Tatum. All I needed was 27 points, dude. Thanks for the 20 spot. Anthony Edwards. I needed 27 points. Thanks for those 26 points. Jerk face. And then Joel Embiid, 36.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He gave me 21. Retire.
No.
Fortunately for your boy, I also had a college basketball, excuse me. I can't even say it right.
Oh, did you get in the pooper for Cooper?
I did. And frankly, I would like it to be known that I went Kansas and Duke last night because Duke is Duke. Duke is Duke. I would like to thank my guy, and he is my guy, Hunter Dickinson. He of Glizzy Nation. I don't know if he is or not. My guy last night was 32.5 points, rebounds, and assists. 28, 12, and 1.
Good Lord.
41. Stud.
Ain't ducking no smoke.
I ain't ducking no smoke. And then I got in the pooper for Cooper. I almost felt like a pedo betting on Cooper Flag last night, but I don't go to Penn State. Anybody, what do you think Cooper Flag's points, rebounds, and assist number was last night?
25.
Points, rebounds, and assists. 32.5.
Okay, 32.
26 points. 12 rebounds. 2 assists.
Dilly.
Winning. And then I actually got really, really, really nervous because being in the pooper for Cooper means that you really don't want anybody on Kentucky to do well. But thankfully, Andrew Carr came through.
Right.
And your boy won 3 of 3 in college basketball. Put too much heat on the NBA, lost $5 last night.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. Download the Prize Picks app. I'm giving you the formula to succeed. Use the promo code Monty. Open a new Prize Picks account. You deposit $5. They'll give you 50 more instantly. And then you do a flex play. You make 3 selections on a flex play, so only 2 of those 3 got to come through.
Bada boom, bada bing.
Swing.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's easy peasy, fresh and squeezy.
Yeah, lemon squeezy and stuff.
Cooper Flag is a can't miss on Prize Picks. So now you just got to find one more, and you usually will win. And I would like to thank the Utah Jazz last night. Huge win for the Jazz in that loss to the Suns. It was
Just still can't get past it, dude.
whew, man.
Huge win.
Huge win with that loss to the Suns last night. And my guy, Devin Booker, I do believe after the game, and we couldn't find the tape of it, but from what I understand, Jordan Clarkson retired after the game last night because his legs fell off in the spin cycle with Devin Booker.
Yeah.
But
Facts.
Sex Machine's going to glizzy, and Jordan Clarkson got beat.
So don't even think about messing with me.
Did you guys see what Devin Booker did to Jordan
Savage,
Clarkson?
bro.
2 spin moves and a hard stop to drop a 3, and Clarkson, I do believe Clarkson wound up in the first row from the 3-point line. Thanks for being who you are, JC. Thanks for being who you are. It is what it is. First one in this morning, David E. Persons,